Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Yom Shabbat, Paramahamsa Prabhupada Shrotra Shri Śrīmad, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON BBT Founder-Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yom Shabbat, Paramahamsa Prabhupada Shrotra Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Sri Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananda Kodi Vaishnav Vrnd ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrnd ki jai. Grandhara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees, all glorious assembled devotees, all glorious Shri Guru Gauranga, all glorious Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 13, entitled The Behavior of a Perfect Person, verse number 44. Atmanubhutau tam mayam juhuyat satyadrang munihi tato niriho viramet svanubhutyatmani sthitaha atmanubhutau tam mayam juhuyat satyadrang munihi tado niriho viramet svanubhutyatmani sthitaha atmanubhuto tam mayam juhuyat satyadrang munihi tato niriho viramet svanubhutyatmani sthitaha. Atmanubhutau tam mayam juhuyat satyadrang munihi tato niriho viramet svanubhutyatmani sthitaha. Okay, Mataji. Atmanubhuto tam mayam Puya satyadrang munihi Tato niriho viramet Anubhutyatmani sthitaha Atmanubhuto tam mayam Juhuya satyadrang munihi Tato niriho virame Svanubhutyatmani sthitaha Atmanubhuto tam mayam Juhuya satyadrang munihi Tato niriho viramet Svanubhutyatmani sthitaha Atmanubhuto tam mayam Juhuyat satyadrang munihi Tato niriho virame Svanubhutyatmani sthitaha. Word to word translation responsibly please. Atma anubhutau, unto self-realization. Tam, that. Mayam, the false ego of material existence. Juhuyat, should offer as an oblation. Satyadrik, one who has actually realized the ultimate truth. Munihi, such a thoughtful person. Tataha, because of this self-realization. Nirihaha, without material desires. Viramet, one must completely retire from material activities. So, anubhuti atmani, in self-realization, sthitaha, thus being situated. A learned, thoughtful person must realize that material existence is illusion. This is possible only by self-realization. A self-realized person who has actually seen the truth should retire from all material activities, being situated in self-realization. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. By an analytical study of the entire constitution of the body, one can surely come to the conclusion that the soul is different from all the body's material constituents, such as earth, water, fire, and air. Thus, the difference between the body and soul can be realized by a person who is thoughtful, Manishi or Muni. And after this realization of the individual spirit soul, one can very easily understand the supreme spirit soul. If one thus realizes that the individual soul is subordinate to the supreme spirit soul, he achieves self-realization. As explained in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, there are two souls within the body. The body is called Kshetra, and there are two Kshetrajnas or occupants of the body, namely the super soul, Paramatma, and the individual soul. The super soul and the individual soul are like two birds sitting on the same tree, the material body. One bird, the individual forgetful bird, is eating the fruits of the tree, not caring for the instructions of the other bird, which is only a witness to the activities of the first bird, who is his friend. When the forgetful bird comes to understand the Supreme Friend who is always with him and trying to give him guidance in different bodies, he takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Bird. As explained in the yoga process, Dhyanavastita tadgatena manasa pashyandiyam yogina. When one actually becomes a perfect yogi, by meditation, he can see the Supreme Friend and surrender unto him. This is the beginning of Bhakti Yoga, or actual life in Krishna consciousness. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanutam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanutamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpadarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Bhutair Mahatbhir Yaima Puro Vibhu Nirmayashete Yadamusha Purusha Bhungte Gunan Shodasha Shodashatmaka Solang Krishishta Bhagavan Vacham Sime. Hare Krishna. Here we are coming to the end of the conversation between Prahlad Maharaj and this Brahmana who is following the vritti or function or the lifestyle of a python, Ajagara. Ajagara means a python. Ajagara vritti. Ajagara means of the Ajagara, of the python. Vritti, a lifestyle or a livelihood of a python. So this is considered a very important conversation in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam because Prahlad Maharaj himself is a pure devotee. He has personally seen the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord has come in front of him. He indeed perfected his life by the process of Smaranam, one of the 9 items of devotion service. And after that, he is going on a tour to find the characteristics and behavior of a perfected devotee, a pure devotee. So this is indeed very wonderful because people do go out to see so many other things. Here, Prahlad Maharaj is only interested in the behavior of a pure devotee. Indeed, he meets this Brahmana who is performing Ajagara Vritti. So here, this Brahmana is giving series of instructions, series of realizations, showing the characteristics of perfected devotees, and it's almost towards the end because there are only 2 more verses in this chapter, and the chapter is titled The Behavior of a Perfect Person. So we are hearing from another perfected person. So one perfected person is hearing the characteristics of another perfected person. So that's the context. Here specifically it is mentioned, see, a learned, thoughtful person must realize the material existence in illusion. That is the first sentence. So this is a point which is worth considering, that if somebody is learned if somebody is thoughtful, such a person naturally look into this world and try to see how this world is working and what are the kinds of traps in this world. And this is not necessarily devotees. Even non-devotee scholars, they also study illusions of this world. But of course, they cannot go into the depths of it. However, they study the illusion of choices, illusion of perception, illusion of consciousness, illusions in behavior, illusion of control. So many different kinds of illusions they do study. Illusion of happiness. So even material scholars want to see what are the kind of illusions exist in this world. But the sad reality is that even after studying all these illusions, they remain in illusion. Even though they can expose some illusion, still they are subjected to the illusion which they have exposed. This is the reality of this world. So there are big scholars who have studied illusion and who have got Nobel Prizes. Nobel Prizes, behavioral economics, combining psychology and the spending habits, economics. Scholars have studied and they got a new field and got Nobel Prize. Still, even they cannot save themselves from the trap of illusion, even what they have studied. Even if it is a spending habit or a behavior, it is so difficult. So, it is mentioned in Shastra that Shastra also accepts that material scholars can reveal some illusions. So, Shastra is also not blind towards that. So, Shastra accept, okay, even the material scholars can study illusion. They are thoughtful person to their own right. They can reveal some illusions. So, what is Prahlad Maharaj says in his prayers to Lord Narasimhadev? Kutrashisha Shruti. Do you know this verse? No, you haven't studied yet. Kutrashisha Shruti Sukha Mrikatrishni Rupa. Kutrashisha, where is the benediction? Shruti Sukha, the pleasing words. We have heard that there is happiness in this world and it is very pleasing. Kutrashisha Shruti Sukha Mrikatrishni Rupa. Mrikatrishni Rupa. What is the meaning of Mriga? Anyone knows the meaning of Mriga? Deer. We should know. When we come to Shastra, we know this word, Mriga. Mriga means deer. And it is always used in a particular context. In connection to mirage. Yeah? A mirage in the desert. In the desert. There is a mirage in the desert. And the desert, if you go, you can see, if you go in the highway, we can see the mirage. So, Prahlad Maharaj is comparing Kutrashisha Shruti Sukha Mrigatrishni Rupa. Comparing the happiness of this world to mirage. Saying, where is the happiness? And then, Kutrashisha. Kutra means where? Kutrashisha, where is this benediction of happiness? Shruti Sukha, very pleasing to hear that there is happiness, but where is it? It is just like the mirage in the desert. Then he says, Kvedam kalevaram ashesha rujam viroha. Ko idam kalevara. How about this body? What is the Kvedam kalevara? What is the use of this body? What is the use of this body? And why he mentioned what is the use of this body? He asks, ashesha rujam viroha. Ashesha rujam. It's a bag of all miseries, all diseases. It can take some time to realize that. If we are young, we don't realize. But on and off, we realize, okay, there are problems with this body. But later, it becomes more evident. Right? That's where Ashesha Rujam. Ashesha Rujam. Ashesha means all kinds of. Ashesha means nothing left. Ashesha Rujam Viroha. It is a bag of all kinds of miseries. Ashesha Rujam Viroha. So he says, Kvedam Kalevaram. What's the value in this body? Then Nirvyadyate. Nirvyadyate Natujano. And people in general, the people cannot be satisfied in this condition, in this material world. While living in this body, no one can get satisfaction, isn't it? We know. Very temporary satisfaction we get, and after that it's very fleeting. We know, we have sufficient experience. And even materialists, they do admit, they accept. Nirvidyate nadujano yad abhiti vidwan. Here is the interesting point. So there is no satisfaction in this world. They accept there is no real happiness. Mrigatrishni rupa. And the body has all different kinds of problems. That is also accepted. And they are also accepting nirvidyate. There is no satisfaction. Natu jano yad apidi vidwan. The vidwan, material scholars, they are able to accept everything. Then the last line, most of the time in the verse, last line, it comes to the crux, right? It comes to the point. And then Prahlad Maharaj makes a point. Kamanalam madhu lavai samayan durapai. Kamanalam madhu lavai samayan durapai. It is so difficult to get happiness in this world. Even understanding everything, still what the material scholars are trying for, madhu lavai, just to get a drop of that happiness. By performing durapai, by performing so much of difficulties, even understanding everything, still such learned persons try for a drop of happiness in this world. So Prahlad Maharaj thinks this is very interesting, isn't it? There is no dearth of knowledge in one sense. They understand, they can study the illusion. Thoughtful person, as it is mentioned here. Through material means, they are able to expose the illusions to some degree. Still, they fall trap into the same illusion. Question is, why? Okay, let's hear from our esteemed audience. Why? You can answer. Sivya. Forgetfulness, yes. Part of yes, but forgetfulness. Is there anything more? Yes. Look. Okay, the modes are overcoming. Yes, that's true. Modes are overcoming. At one point, thoughtful are able to, in the control of goodness, able to reveal things. And then under passion and ignorance. Yes, another one. Yes. Exactly. Uncontrolled senses. So uncontrolled senses. That is the point of Prahlad Maharaj actually. Uncontrolled senses and mind. So one can have all the knowledge, but if the senses are not controlled, what's the use? Then there is another important point. Okay, there is one point. Yes, uncontrolled senses. But what else? This is also a very important point. Even more important than uncontrolled senses. What do they lack? Faith. Yes, even before faith. They know about the mysteries. They understand the temporary nature of this world. Intelligence. Yes, related. They are a bit more deeper. Intelligence is close by. Yeah, that is the closest. They don't have knowledge. But what knowledge? Exactly, they don't have a higher knowledge. So even though one can say, okay, there are problems in this world, but as far as they don't have a higher knowledge, as far as we don't have higher knowledge, then there is a vacuum. What can be done? Just by knowing that there is misery, that is not enough. What is the alternative? What else can we do? Since that isn't there, they fall trapped to the same illusion. So there is no transcendental knowledge, there is no higher knowledge, so there are no alternative options, and so there is no sense control, and there is one more point. No higher knowledge, can't control the senses, can't control the senses. What is another reason for not controlling the senses and mind? Yes, but in this, no, not generally speaking, in this particular context. Yes, that is part of can't control the mind. What we have and what materialists don't have. What devotees have? Association. Yes, that is part of something. Association is part of the thing what we are following. What do we have? Chanting. Chanting is also part of that. We have Krishna consciousness, or there is a process. There is a process, there is knowledge, and in that knowledge there is a process by which we can control the mind and the senses. And that is the only reason, that is the only way there's a possibility of going beyond illusion. So that's why the first sentence is, a learned, total person must realize that material existence is illusion. This is possible only by self-realization. Can you see? There is no other means we can actually realize this. One can temporarily come to some knowledge, but it is of no use. Otherwise, what happens? The so-called scholars, they cannot control their senses at all. There are so many academic conferences. You know about academic conferences. Okay, there are so many papers being presented. Interestingly, all the academic conferences are conducted in big cities, or if there are some scenic places. So it can attract people, is it right? And then what happens? Okay, daytime there are presentation, evening there are parties, there is drinking, right? It's all part of, if you consider on one side, a big philosopher, and the activities are known different from a normal person. One can be a big philosopher, but the activities are the same sense enjoyment. Drinking, intoxication, illicit sex, the same thing. So where is the real knowledge? So this is the problem of this world. So this is lacking self-realization. This is lacking the real knowledge. So without the real knowledge, it is not possible to understand anything. So here, that's why here we are coming to, in this purport, it is explained about Bhakti Yoga. And even before presenting Bhakti Yoga, it is mentioned that a thoughtful person, if they're really thoughtful, they can come to the platform of understanding that I am not the body, I am not the mind, but I am the spirit soul. At least I am beyond this material energy. One can, with intelligence, at least one can come to that platform. One can at least see that, okay, there is something beyond. Srila Prabhupada gave the example of Socrates. In this conversation, he gave the example of, Greek philosopher Socrates. He said, with intelligence, he came to the platform of Gyan, that understanding, look, I am not the body, I am not the mind. I am something beyond, I am the soul. That kind of platform he could arrive at. He could be a witness, not affected by the material changes. So that is the kind of, Prabhupada gives an example of a Gyani in the modern times. That is the maximum one can. But Prabhupada says, if one can come to the platform of the soul, then easily one can understand who is super soul, because there are no material attachments. And then one can go beyond, one can come to the platform of Bhakti Yoga. However, it is mentioned Mayam. Here Mayam is translated very interesting. What is the Maya? False ego of material existence. False ego. Yesterday's class also mentioned about false ego. So what really we had to give up is false ego, and then really accept the true ego, right? False ego, and false ego is pervading everything. We know that for the conditioned soul, the consciousness is filtered through the false ego. So it's not the pure consciousness, the chitta, contaminated consciousness. What is the contaminated consciousness? The pure consciousness, the pure chetana is being polluted by false ego. So that is chitta, one of the ingredient, chitta. Contaminated consciousness. So that contaminated consciousness is spreading all throughout our body. The mind, intelligence, the body, senses, everywhere is spread. What awareness we talk about consciousness, that is actually chitta, that is a contaminated consciousness. The contaminated consciousness is consciousness which is contaminated by the false ego. So ultimately here in the series of verses, the word uses juhuyat, juhoti. Juhoti means sacrifice, oblation. We have the egya, the egya we offer, idam krishnaya, idam namama, we offer, that is juhoti, offers, that is juhoti. And juhuyat means one should offer, one should sacrifice. So it's an instruction, so that's why it's mentioned, juhuyat. So what one should sacrifice? Mayam juhuyat. What one should sacrifice? One should give up false ego. So that is the most difficult thing to renounce. Everything else is easy to renounce. But when it comes to false ego, it is so difficult. Because false ego is pervading all our existence. If we want to enjoy in this world, there has to be false ego. Meaning, we had to forget Krishna. Then we can get false ego. So they go parallelly. Otherwise, how can we enjoy in this world? Even as devotees, we may enjoy, materially speaking. We are not pure devotees. That time we had to actually forget Krishna. Illusion means forgetfulness of Krishna. Otherwise, there is no possibility of enjoyment. And now, the whole world, now it's a summer. People go to the beach, lying down for ages. Morning till evening, go for surfing, spending hours and hours. Generally speaking, that is the enjoyment. And to do that for karmis, there is no knowledge about Krishna, otherwise it's not possible to do it. You go to now is the time for music festivals. We do so many catering for music festivals. You go to the music festivals. What happens? People are just drinking, dancing, a lot of drugs flowing, right? And this is life, The sad enough, every music festival, pretty much every music festival, people do die because overdose, isn't it? And everyone knows this. But this is the enjoyment, forgetting Krishna. And one is actually suffering. Yesterday, Sridhar Prabhu mentioned about the different kinds of covering. It was nice, different kinds of tama. Starting from tama, moha, mahamoha, tamishra, andhatamishra, the 5 kinds of coverings, the ignorance created by Brahma. Tamishra and andhatamishra. Tamishra means, frustration in this material world. Frustration, enjoyment leads to frustration. Everyone has experience. And andhatamishra is, it's like the complete hopelessness. You understand? This is material existence. This is the world. And for all this, what is required? False ego. False identification of the body and the mind and the extended self. It can be in different levels. It can be this kind of gross enjoyments. Or it can be other kinds of false ego. Nationalism, big thing. India, nationalism is a big thing, right? Everywhere, nationalism is a big thing. Sometimes I feel sad. Speaking to old people, they are completely into nationalistic agenda. Some people I can tell, some people I can't tell. Now is not the time to think about this kind of things. Just worry about Krishna consciousness, because you can leave the body anytime. Be careful. Don't get too attached to nationalism. This point in time, it can be dangerous. And some people don't listen. If I even a hint, no, don't live in the illusory world. Come to the reality. Now we are telling, come to the reality. What is that? Think about Krishna. Now don't be so passionate about nationalism. The time is ticking, correct? So the illusion can be, the false ego can come in any form. In any shape, any form. One has to be very clear. As devotees have to be very clear, because even we cannot get into these kind of agendas. Then we can be swept away. Isn't it right? Getting into politics, even devotees into nationalism, the politics, this happened, that happened, geopolitics. Then we are being swept away by false identification, false ego. Then for devotees also, false ego comes in the common use of false ego, which is in our dealings, isn't it? If somebody is correcting us, what happens? Sometimes, who are you to correct? Right? And immediately the thought comes to our mind. When correcting, even accepting orders, instructions, while receiving instructions, right? Even somebody criticizes us. These are the times, actually, our ego, false ego, comes to its surface. And that too, interestingly enough, if we get criticized about our core strength, suppose somebody is a good cook, one is identifying completely with as a cook, very good cooking, I am expert cook. If someone criticizes that, then ego affects more. Why? Because that is our identification. So depending on where the identification is, that where we hurt more. Right? If somebody is not a good singer, he also knows, or she also knows, I am not a good singer, I am just managing to sing. Somebody says, your singing is not so good. We accept that's all right. But if you are skilled at something else and one is completely identified and someone criticizes that, then the false ego affects a lot. Then also, who is criticizing? Who is instructing? Is a junior, equal, or senior? Senior we may tolerate, that's okay. Senior devotee giving some instructions is okay. Equal means some more problem. Who is he? He is equal to me. Why is he giving me instruction? He may be telling some good things, but the false ego come in between for us, practicing devotees. And then, if it is some junior, oh, Krishna, what will happen? So can you see, if a junior criticizing or instructing on our core skill, then it is even more painful. Can you see? So even our normal devotion life, we can see this false ego plays a very important role. And that's why it is mentioned here in this verse, very clearly mentioned, Mayam Juhuyat. In the process of self-realization, in the process of Krishna consciousness, Mayam Juhuyat. One must sacrifice this Maya. How do we do that? If somebody is correcting us, instead of placing ourselves, we should think, what is best for Krishna service? What is best for Krishna service? That is a good meditation. So then we are removing ourselves and we are placing Krishna. Then it is we'll get a little bit more clarity in our thought process. Okay, ultimately it is for Krishna's pleasure. So what is good for that? What is the good for service? Maybe he or she is correcting, maybe it's good for the service. So instead of placing ourselves and our skill, our activity, now we are focusing on Krishna. That is helpful. So we need to think, okay, how our mind is thinking and how can we correct ourselves. For example, Srila Prabhupada, 1967 in San Francisco, he had the chapter in Lilamrita, our master hasn't finished his work. You can see Prabhupada had heart palpitation, and a doctor, they couldn't get a doctor. It was a public holiday, they couldn't get a doctor. Finally he got a doctor, an old doctor, a drunkard person. You remember that? Reading in Lilamrita? Many of you have done Lilamrita exam also, so you remember. And what they asked, so what to do? He was a drunkard. He said, old man is praying too much. That was he said. The old man is praying too much. Which is true in one sense, but that's what he said. He is a drunkard. The old man is praying too much. He needs some exercise. In front of Prabhupada, he needs some exercise. He should go for morning walk. What did Prabhupada do? He took it as Krishna's instruction. He didn't say, look, who is this karmi, meat eater, drunkard. If you list the disqualification, there is n number of disqualification. Prabhupada didn't see that. Prabhupada said, this is something good. This is the instruction from Krishna, so that I can maintain my body and I can do my service. So Prabhupada maintained his body. All his routine was to have a healthy body so that he can do his service properly. So we can see how false ego was not there, but the body is mentioned. Sharira madhyam ghalu dharma sadhanam. Upanishad mentioned Sharira madhyam ghalu dharma sadhanam. That the Sharira is the first object, the first tool to perform the dharma. Even to perform bhakti. If there is no body, how are we going to do the bhakti? So it has to be maintained. So Prabhupada could see that. I heard the story where Sasuru Maharaj, he was chanting, and one new devotee, he just turned up and told, Maharaj, you are not chanting properly. You have to be more attentive. And he left. Maharaj, immediately he became more serious and he started chanting. He didn't chastise. Interestingly enough, he didn't chastise. Who are you? So that is our tendency. So we had to see our consciousness and we had to direct it toward Krishna. So we had to see the pleasure of Krishna. We had to see what is best for Krishna's service. Then it becomes easier to deal with corrections, criticisms, because in life we had to face all this and we need to deal with them properly. And then it is mentioned further about self-realization in this purport. Here it's mentioned about the two birds. Two birds. It's a very famous analogy, right? Two birds analogy. In Bhagavatam, actually, there's two birds explained in 13th chapter. Srila Prabhupada quote 13th chapter. It is mentioned in the Upanishad, Katha Upanishad. There is a mention about that. We can read in the purports of Bhagavad Gita. Also, this is elaborately explained in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, in the 10th canto, in the 2nd chapter. Prayers of the demigods. Very, very nice verse actually. Very, very descriptive verse. If you have studied the prayers of the demigods, very nice verse. Ekaya no so diphalastrimula chaturasa panjavitha shadatma saptatvakashta vidapo navaksha dashachadi dvikagohya divriksha. It's talking about a vriksha, again about a tree, but gives a lot of details about this tree. What is this tree? Ekayana. There is one trunk for this tree. It's a big tree. And who is that tree? Ekayana. It's actually when I saw this verse, I was very amazed. Because in this verse, there is a numbering in Sanskrit from 1 to 10. Ega, Dvaya, Tri, Chatu, Pancha, Shat, Ashta, Sapta, Nava, Dasha, all the numbering is there. And they are all connected to our body. So first it is mentioned, Ekaya Naso. There is one trunk for this body. There is one body. And that is this body. So this vriksha has one trunk, a big vriksha, a big tree. And Dviphala. There are two fruits to this tree. Two kinds of fruits. What are the two kinds of fruits? Can anyone guess? Two kinds of fruits for this tree? Easy. Exactly. Bitter and sweet, or happiness and distress. Happiness and distress. These are the two kinds of fruit. So, Dviphala Trimula, and there are three roots. That is the basis, the three roots. What are the three roots? Three modes of material nature. So, very easy. So, the one tree, two kinds of fruits, and three roots. Ekayana, so Dviphala Trimula, Chaturasa. And there are four tastes. Four chaturasa, four tastes are there, four rasas are there. So in terms of activities, I'll give you a clue. In terms of activities, there are four kinds of activities according to the Vedic standards. One can perform four kinds of activities. In that, one can derive taste. Exactly. Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. Because if you see all the activities, they must fall into these categories. Except one activity. What is that? Bhakti. So that is Chaturasa. That is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. What else is there in this world? Isn't it? One can perform one's duties, religious duties. Then one can have Artha, means of enjoyment, resources, money, etc. One can enjoy the senses. And finally one can try to get out of it. That's all in this world. So Chaturasa, Panjavidha. Then it is mentioned there are Panjavidha, five. Generally, five is connected to what? Five senses. Simple, right? So because we use these five senses to pursue all these four activities and to get different kinds of taste. So, Panjavidha. So, there are five senses. And then, what is that? Shadatma. Shadatma is translated as 6 kinds of circumstances. So we act, or we had to face with 6 circumstances, situations in this world. Can you tell? Some, just give it a guess. No harm. Nothing to go wrong. One circumstance. Very broad. Rejection. Okay, I will, what will give, rejection will give what? Rejection can give anger. Rejection give what else? Distress? Yeah, distress. There are many effects. Okay. So first one is lamentation. Lamentation. Second one, we were discussing, this verse is about illusion. Lamentation, illusion. Then old age, death, hunger and thirst. The circumstances we go through. And then there are 7 layers. Saptatwak. Tok means the layers. Saptatwak. So they are the different coverings of the body, skin, blood, muscle, fat, the different coverings. So they are the Saptatwak. Then 8 branches. Ashtavitapa. 8 branches are there. What are the 8 branches? 8 number related to Bhagavad Gita. I'll give you the chapter clue. 7th chapter. There are 8 things mentioned. Ashtanga Yoga is not in the 7th chapter. I'll give you one more clue. 5 plus 3. Okay, here we go. Yes, they are related to that. The elements related to that. right? Bhumirapo analo vayu gham mano buddhirevacha. So 8. So they are the 8 branches. And then there are 9 holes. That is very easy, right? 9 holes of the body. And then there are 10 kinds of leaves. Dasha chadi. 10 kinds of leaves. What are they? No, that is cover. No, not. They are actually the airs passing in the body, the 10 kinds of airs. So it's giving the whole description of the body. So the demigod, they are very intelligent, so they can bring in this kind of analogy, explaining 10 things in a tree. And then finally comes to the point, Dvighago hi adivrukshaha. Dvighagaha. Who are the Dvighagaha? 2 birds. Ghaga means birds. 2 birds are there. Who are they? Soul and the super soul. That is mentioned. So in this tree, the most important is the soul and the super soul. After explaining everything elaborately, the demigod says, okay, there are the soul and the super soul. And this is called the Adivruksha. Adivruksha. Because this is the original tree or construction of the material body, whether individual or universal. So Adivruksha, ultimately this is from the Supreme Lord. So as it's mentioned in this purport, when this bird starts to look towards the witness bird, that is the time bhakti starts. Okay, first acknowledging there is a witness bird, that is the Supreme Lord. That is the beginning of bhakti. And then engage in the service. That is the beginning of bhakti. Now here, after mentioning this verse, if you see the very important point that is mentioned, in Sanskrit it is mentioned, viramet. Viram. Do you know the meaning of virama? Resting, full stop, or stop. Viramati also means retire. What is mentioned? Viramet. One should retire all activities other than Krishna consciousness. Here it's mentioned, viramet. So here, this Ajagaravarti, the Brahmana who is performing Ajagaravarti, the Python man, is giving the retirement program. When one should retire, and what one should retire, what one should do after retirement. This is a retirement program, because devotees always tell, okay, only 5 more years, only 10 more years. I've heard this many times, at the age of 40, at the age of 45, at the age of 50, I want to give up my job, only devotion service. Many times devotees say that, but very difficult to see that. So this is the retirement program. So here the Python man is telling Viramed, one should retire, but there is qualification for that. Okay, what is mentioned? Okay, one who has seen the truth should retire from all material activities. So we are in the process. We are in the process of seeing the truth. Devotions are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, seeing the deities, doing devotion service. We are seeing the truth, step by step. It's not all or nothing. Bhakti is not all or nothing. Either I am a pure devotee or I am a materialist. No, we are in between, slowly making progress. So here, this is quite corroborating the verses from Bhagavad Gita. In the 3rd chapter, we can see Krishna mentions the same point, but in a different context and a different purport. Yastu atmadireva syat atmadruptascha manava atmanneva sandushta tasya karyam na vidyate. 3rd chapter. What is the qualification? He takes pleasure in the self, but is a capital S in the Supreme Lord. Okay, that's the qualification mentioned here also. One is taking pleasure in the self, and what else? Such a person is whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satisfied. For him, there is no duty. So Prabhupada in the purport, I was reading the purport, very interesting. First sentence is, a person who is fully Krishna conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness no longer has any duty to perform. And fully Krishna conscious, that fully is italicized. When you read the purport, you can see that fully is italicized. Make sure, please understand this. Then there is no duty to perform. Here, the Python man is on that platform, so he is telling, I am just lying down. Who is maintaining me? Krishna is maintaining me. I am not going to do anything to maintain myself. Whatever is coming on my way, I will eat. If I get maintained, I will survive. If not, that's all right. So this is the platform. So this is a complete retirement program shown by Python man. No, I'm not going to do anything. So as Prahlad Maharaj was perplexed, sometimes generally we see the transcendentalist skinny, but I see you are very healthy, you are fat. What's the secret? And and you are not working, you are not earning, you are not a sense enjoyer, and you have full realization. Why are you like this? So this is the answer. He has completely retired from all his duties. He is under the complete shelter of the Lord. So if he gets to eat, he eats. And if he doesn't, he doesn't. So this is a very high platform. We cannot imitate. And in those series of verses, what is the take of Krishna? Here it is mentioned, Viramet. One must retire. That's what is mentioned. But the take on Krishna in the 3rd chapter, what is the take on Krishna on this point? One who is self-realized, what he should do? According to the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He should give up the duty. Okay, it doesn't matter. It is mentioned whether he works or not. It doesn't really matter. That's what is mentioned there. But kind of conclusion, where is it arriving at? Okay, one can offer the results to Krishna. But in terms of activities, what is mentioned specifically? Okay, but that's not the crux. What is the point? Such a person, even self-realized, one should act to set an example for others. Isn't it? that is the context in which presented. So no duties to perform, still one should perform the duties to set an example for others. So that duty is not entangling because one is not attached to the results. So everything is completely connected to Krishna. That's what Krishna is advising Arjuna. He cannot tell Arjuna, now you go to the forest, follow Ajagravritti. Possible? No. It's on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So the take is slightly different or completely different. So, but the point is the same. Both are talking about self-realized person. So Arjuna is also a self-realized person. He is fighting for Krishna. Janakadaya mentioned the examples of Janaka and they are self-realized people. Still, they are conducting their duties. They are still king, father of Mother Sita. And Krishna gives him his own example. I don't have anything to do, but still I act. Mama Vartmanu Vartante. Everyone follows my path. So this is we can see the same point, but there are different takes on the circumstances according to the instruction. So we need proper guidance. We need maturity. What to do at this point in time, right? We cannot immaturely. Okay, here it's mentioned, Viramet. Okay, let me retire, and I was going to work. What are we going to do after that? Where is the platform of self-realization? So we have to take it very properly, understand, and then. It is mentioned further that the bird, again, about self-realization, the bird is waiting for us. Our friend, who is that? Krishna. Krishna is waiting. Krishna is always thinking, how can we get this jiva back to the spiritual world? This is the thought of Krishna. Krishna is thinking. Krishna has a plan for everyone. We have to follow the plan of Krishna, that's all. Krishna is thinking, when he is coming to me? He's thinking like that. In fact, in the Gopa Kumar, in his journey we have mentioned before, when he reaches to Vaikuntha, Lord Narayan tells Gopa Kumar, I was looking at you in that life. I thought that life you will make it. But I was waiting and waiting. You almost got the association of the devotees. I thought you will come to me. Nothing happened. Then I was waiting in the next life, what's going to happen to us? No, that life also you didn't make it. And finally, you have come to me. Can you see? So there, the Lord himself reveals his mind. He's actually waiting for all of us. So this is the anxiety of the Lord. What is the anxiety of the Lord? Okay, how can I get all these people back? We can see that in Chaitanya Avatar. Lord Chaitanya is in complete anxiety. He tells Haridas Thakur, right? He tells Haridas Thakur, I have anxiety. Oh Haridas, I have one anxiety. And what is the anxiety? Specific anxiety towards the end of CC of Lord Chaitanya. Do you know the anxiety of Lord Chaitanya? What is the anxiety of Lord Chaitanya? Yes, living entities back to Godhead, and specifically, he mentions about specific groups. How can I help who are in the lower forms? Trees, plants, animals. How can I deliver them? And how can I also deliver even the malaichas? If that is his anxiety, who are you cannot even accept all this Vedic principle. How can I deliver all these living entities? So his anxiety is delivering living entities, and he wants to know how to deliver them, even those who are on the lowest level. Anarpita charim chirat karunayavatirna kalo samarpayidam innadojala rasam sabhakti shriyam. In the beginning of CC. Anarpita charim chirat karunayavatirna kalo. He wanted to give the highest to the lowest. So when he comes to the lowest, he wants to consider about the plants and not even human beings. He wanted to consider everyone. How can I deliver everyone? So he told Haridas, please give a solution to my anxiety. What did Haridas Thakur say? Chant. He said loud chanting, because even trees can get delivered by chanting, because their chanting is, if devotees chant loud, if the echo from the trees, if the holy name is touching, the sound vibration is touching the trees, that is their chanting. The echo from the trees, that is their chanting. So, oh my Lord, don't be in anxiety. The holy name is a solution. And then Haridas Thakur glorifies the holy name. So this is the mercy of this friend, the Supreme Lord. So it is mentioned, Nama Vyaharanam Vishnor Yattat Vishayamati. It's in the 6th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Nama Vyaharanam Vishnoho. Chanting the holy name of Krishna, Nama Vyaharanam Vishnoho. Yattat Vishayamati. Here again, it's a beautiful purport given by Acharya Srila Prabhupada and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Yattat Vishayamadi. Again the thought process of the real friend Krishna. What he thinks. If we want to know someone, the most difficult is, what is the thought process of the person next to us? It can be even a partner or whatever. It's difficult to know the thought process. And here, Krishna's thought process is given in regard to the holy name. Yattat Vishayamati. The Lord is thinking, even in this case of Ajamal, he chanted the holy name not with any bhakti. It was an accidental chanting. It was a reflection of chanting. It was not a proper chanting. But the Lord is thinking, because this person has chanted my holy name, now it is my duty to give protection. Can you see? Even without intention. So this is the kindness of Krishna. This is the kindness of the other bird, as it is mentioned in this purport. He is just waiting, looking, and somehow or other chanted. And then Haridas Thakur says about the holy name, even if Malaichas are telling Haram, you might have heard this, Haram. Since Ram is there, they'll get delivered. And he goes to a level further in the name of the Lord. Say, for example, Rama, if there is some letters in between, and if the Ra and Ma is there, still even for that, the living entities will get benefit. So can you imagine the kindness, not even telling Rama or Krishna, there is a Kr and somewhere else the Shna is there, in between there are so many other letters, still one gets some benefit. So this is perplexing. Oh, amazing. How does that work? So this is the mercy of the Lord. So the Lord is ready to protect. He is the real friend. So even in case of Ajamal, then what to speak of residents of Vrindavan? When this Govardhan pastime happened, in a heavy rain, they were severely perturbed. So all the Gopas, all the Gopis, all the cows, everyone approached the Lord, right? Immediately, the Lord responds, after seeing the whole thing, again the thought process of the Lord is given. The Lord is thinking, this is my family, they are my devotees. He says, Gopaye Atma Yogena. Gopaye Atma Yogena. Gopaye means I will protect, I will personally protect. Or I have it to protect. Gopaye Atma Yogena, with my own energy. Soyam me vrata ahita. Soyam me vrata ahita. This is my vow. This is my promise that I will protect my devotees. We can hear it in Bhagavad Gita. Kaunteya pradijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. Same thing. In Bhagavatam 10 canto, okay, the devotees, the residents are coming. No, I will protect. Gopa atma yogena. Soham vrata ahita. I have taken this vrata. I will protect my devotees. So this is the nature of the Supreme Lord. So this is the Lord, as it is mentioned in this purport, the witness bird. So he is not just witness, he's thinking also, how can we help? So the moment we show some interest, the Lord start helping. And that's why we have association of the devotees. That's why we have the temple. That's why we have service to the Lord. So with this, I conclude. Here is any comments, questions? Yes, Sivya has a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the nice class. Prabhuji, you mentioned when someone criticizes us, our false ego creeps in and then we try to revert back. But Prabhu, sometimes we see when we keep silence means we're accepting the mistake. But sometimes we see we haven't done that mistake. So what should we do? How should we answer them back? So not showing our false ego.
Some people, no need to respond, accept. If Guru is chastising, don't reply back. Just accept. Don't tell back, no, I didn't do that. Guru Maharaj, no, I didn't do that. Just accept. Right? In certain situations, one may explain humbly. There is no problem. If it is a reality, this is the situation. And to Guru, if Guru is correcting, one has to accept it. We don't tell Guru back, no, this is not my mistake, It may not be your mistake directly, but we have to understand that is chastisement. I need that chastisement. So someone senior sometimes chastises, we have to accept it. Not necessarily Guru, and some senior we may accept it. Very senior we accept, okay, I need that chastisement. I may not have exactly done that thing, but I may need that chastisement sometimes. But there are other places we explain. But explanation is not exactly on the platform of false ego. Sometimes explanation is required, and which is okay. Hare Krishna. Yes. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the class.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I have 2 questions. Is that okay? So first, when we are dreaming, is that kind of illusion? When we are dreaming?
When we are?
Dreaming. In the night, like it's that kind of illusion?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Dreaming, definitely. That's why there is, Bhagavatam says, daydream and night dream. Both are illusions. What is the daydream? Daydream, we think, I'm a man, I am this, I am that, I will enjoy in this way. This is the daydream. And night dream, we cut out from the gross body, we simply identify with the subtle body and hover in that platform. That is a night dream. Both are dream. The 3rd level, that is Turiya, or the 4th level, that is understanding Krishna, being Krishna conscious, acting as servant of Krishna. So when we are hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, if you are listening, okay, we are on the Turiya. When we are serving, okay, Krishna, so okay, we are on the Turiya, okay. So we try to act as the spirit soul in connection to Krishna. Otherwise, we are actually in dream, we are in illusion. I can see myself, I am in illusion. Not many times. Not thinking about Krishna. So then, okay, come back to, not be in delusion, okay, come back to Krishna. So then come back to the reality. Okay, so yes, answer is night dream. Yeah, generally it is part of illusion. Of course, if one is thinking about Krishna and service, I wouldn't call as illusion. It's good. Prabhupada gives the example. Prabhupada says, one lecture I was listening, Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada was explaining, look, I was dreaming. In the dream, I was very hungry. He was giving the example of dream. I was very hungry, and somebody gave, and I got paratha, very tasty paratha, prasadam I got, and I was eating. So I felt very good. Krishna prasadam I was eating, I felt very good. But I woke up, but then I was still hungry. So, yes, the dream we get benefit because thinking about Krishna, that benefit is there, but in reality, that's not enough. It's good, but it's not enough. So dreaming of Krishna is not enough. Serving in Krishna in the dream is good, but that's not enough. We had to do actual service as well. Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Good to see you.
Hare Krishna, Vrndesa Prabhu. Thank you for your class. I just wanted to mention that in this purport it is stressed that there are two souls in the body. And usually devotees try to see Krishna outside or to see Krishna in this world, how this world manifests towards, like reacts to your life, but Krishna actually inside. So very close, it says, very close friend. So why is that we can't actually see or realize Krishna within us? Because it is said that he is a very close friend and he is situated in the body. And also, usually when we think of the soul in the spiritual world, there is no companion. Like in the body, there are two souls. But in the spiritual world, where there is no physical body, Krishna is not sitting next to us.
Okay.
So can you elaborate?
Yeah, got the question. So the first question is...
Why is that?
First question is, the Lord is within, then why do we focus the Lord on outside? But the point is, Lord is within and without. He's inside and He's outside. Now, why don't we look into the Lord within? There is super soul. The problem is, we don't have direct access to the super soul. So why we don't have the access to the super soul? We can ask a question, what should I do, Krishna? Ask the super soul, get the answer, then the problem solved. Does it work? No. Why not? Then we had to come to the beginning of the class. What is the answer to that? Why can't we access the super soul? Illusion. If one's mind and senses are completely controlled, then one has almost reached the super soul. 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. One has to be fully controlled. Okay, then we can talk about super soul. Otherwise, we cannot access the super soul directly. We cannot ask the super soul, what is good for me? So it is mentioned that Chaitya Guru manifests as the Bahya Guru, our initiating spiritual master, or Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru. They are the manifestation of Chaitya Guru. You understand? Super soul is also called Chaitya Guru because we cannot access, so we need an external spiritual master whom we can ask, am I going in the right direction? Then there are scriptures, there are deities. I cannot serve super soul within my heart. It's not going to work. Do an arati today inside, it will not work. So, and we cannot see. We need actually to see. So there are the deity form of the Lord. So that is the one. Second, why there is no super soul in the spiritual world? The manifestation of super soul is only in the material world. Because there you are directly with Krishna. You are talking to Krishna. You have Krishna all the time. So there is no need of the soul. There is no concept of duality. We have the body, soul, the duality exists in the material world. That doesn't exist in the spiritual world. So there is soul, and the soul in the form of Krishna. Krishna as person, not as a soul. There is no material body there. The soul is there, and the Krishna is also there. So here, in the body, there is soul is there, the super soul is there. In the spiritual world, the soul is there, and the super soul as Krishna is there. There is no body as such. Body is there, okay. The soul has a spiritual body. Other than that, there is no within another super soul. That concept is not there. So that is only for the material world. Clear?
So does it mean that in spiritual world the soul has more freedom because Krishna kind of is separate, is not a companion all the time? Like
freedom, you are talking about freedom in what sense?
I mean
there is complete freedom to serve Krishna.
Well, usually when someone,
isn't it? That is the freedom. Freedom to serve Krishna. What is it? That's freedom. Here we are conditioned. There is no conditioning, so we can serve Krishna. That's the freedom, isn't it? Real freedom is serving Krishna. So there is freedom to serve Krishna.
Yeah, well, it just my idea was that when someone is your companion full time, then it reminds it sounds like they, for example, they don't trust you and they need to assist you all the time, but in the spiritual world there is no such necessity.
Please understand, they are in pure love for Krishna. So that will answer all the question. The soul is in pure love for Krishna, and Krishna is of course always in pure love for his devotees. So that is the essence of the spiritual world.
So the pure love is the bondage in the spiritual world.
Yeah, that is binding us to Krishna.
So in the material world we are bound together
bound by the
body.
material energy.
Yeah.
Yes.
But in the spiritual world it's...
Or our own lust, simple. That is the binding of this material world. Okay. Any final... Yes, Prabhu.
I'll just make a comment on the dreams question.
Yeah.
Usually they're just the ramblings of the mind.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
But sometimes they may be substantial.
Yeah.
And Prabhupada gave his example that he didn't want to take sannyas, but Srila Bhaktivedanta appeared to him in a dream and told him to take sannyas. And the first time he just sort of...
Yeah, that's right.
First time he thought, well, maybe that's just the rambling of the mind or whatever, the processing of the mind. But then the second time, then he realised this is serious.
Yes.
And another story on dreams. We had one devotee in Perth, and she turned up at the restaurant, offered to volunteer, and then started chanting and became vegetarian and going on Hare Nam. And everybody thought I must have preached to her. But I knew I never actually preached to her. And so everyone thought, oh, Yadu preached to her, but I never actually preached to her. So I asked her, how did you actually come to Krishna consciousness? And she said to me, Prabhupada appeared to me in a dream and told me to read Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
It was like, isn't that everyone becomes Krishna consciousness? Yes. And she said, I had a few Hare Krishna books, but I'd never really read them, and I wasn't even sure I had Bhagavad Gita, but eventually I found it and I read it, and then my whole life changed. So, the dream is usually, we can say that the rambling of the mind or whatever, processing of the mind. But then we may also be getting something substantial. And then if we're in doubt, we should ask other devotees about it, not assume that.
That's right.
If we might get something strange in a dream, that doesn't have any relevance to Krishna consciousness. But maybe sometimes the Krishna is telling us something through a dream, and therefore we can check with other devotees before acting on it. But sometimes dreams are substantial, although usually it's just mental gibberish.
Yeah, for us probably rarely substantial. Thank you, that's right. Yes, but there are such incidents, I heard the similar story of famous, he's a sannyasi, I don't know his sannyas name, Achala Prabhu. His name was Achala Prabhu, Russian devotee, was a military officer. And he was given, you may know him, he got his juniors, two of the other officers. He was a senior person. Two junior officers, they became devotees. And this person was Achala Prabhu as a senior officer. He was interested in yoga and stuff like that. So he came to know that these two are into yoga, and so they asked, what is it all about? So they said, yes, this is this, and they gave a Bhagavad Gita in Russian. And he took the Bhagavad Gita and they asked, give us a donation. Then he gave a donation, he took the book. He read the whole book, but no purport. Only the translation. And after that, he went on for some time. Then Prabhupada came in dream and told him in perfect Russian, that why not, better you read all purports as well. Then he read the whole purports and he became a devotee. And he became a Sankirtan leader and later a sannyasi. And what is his sannyasi name? Prabhu, do you know? Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, if you cannot, that's okay. Yeah, that's all right, yeah. So, thank you. No. No. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, but thank you. So sometimes the dream can
Sometimes they are substantial.
Substantial as
And
well.
if in doubt, then we should consult other devotees.
Yeah, that's right. Guru Sadhu Shastra. Okay. Yeah. Okay then. So, okay. Thank you very much. Granthara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Swam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanitanscha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,